Hello, welcome to another. Sorry guys, gotta slow it down here. Welcome to another episode of Aslan Speaks. And some of you who follow me may notice that I don't post lately on my channel, and that is because I've been focusing on my newest book that will be coming out within the next month or two, and it's called The Alchemist Path to Inner Transformation. And I'm going to share with you a chapter from that book for free. Because, do unto others as you want them to do unto you. Meaning, I'm not all about the money. It's about giving freely. And I do that by sharing knowledge and wisdom or insights to help you change or transform your life. And today I will be talking about the 7 virtues. Many people don't even know what the 7 virtues are. If you ask 100 people, and maybe one person out of that 100 will know what are the 7 virtues. And I want to share if you incorporate these 7 virtues into your life, you'll transform and help shape your life, and it will do wonders for you if you incorporate that into your beingness. And for a quick moment, for those who follow me or just stumble upon this video by chance, I am an author, and that's what my passion is. I write books. And if you're interested in my work, my first one's called Hidden Knowledge, Gained Wisdom. My second one, Hidden Knowledge, Gained Insight. And my third one, Hidden Knowledge, Path to the Divine. And if you're looking to change or transform your life and you feel lost, I recommend picking up one of my books that speaks to your soul, because it may contain something in it that may help you. And my name is Eric Johnson, and you can find my books on Amazon. Now let's begin. The 7 virtues, right? In life, most of humanity strive to become their best versions of themselves. Like, many people strive to become better versions of themselves. They strive to attain that social standing. They strive for a better job, or they strive to obtain better wealth. Overall, most of humanity strives for a better life, some shape or form. We all have that inner calling that says, hey, we could do better. Many people pursue external goals and neglect their own inner well-being. So we always go after the things outside of ourselves. Well, I pose the idea, if you change your inner state, the outer state will automatically change. And I'm walking testimony to that, guys. In my own life, I was one of those people chasing things outside myself. I was chasing that materialism. I was chasing after that money. I was chasing after that ideal, perfect romantic relationship. Do you know where all that pursuing led me? It pretty much got me nowhere. I would have fleeting moments of success, but most of the time, it got me nowhere. I would do good, but then next thing you know, I would, stumble and fall. And then I would go back to struggle after struggle, hardship after hardship, because ultimately I was just always pursuing the outside. It wasn't till I truly began to work on myself and my inner state of beingness when my life changed for the better. Because in life, they don't teach you that all the stuff that's inside you affects your outer reality or your life. You know, and you think you're normal or whatever, and you just keep repeating that cycle until you learn to change what's inside you guys. And I encourage that in you guys. So I ended up creating lasting change, in my life. Is my life perfect by any means? No. But for the most part, my life is pretty good. Because, why is it pretty good? Because my inner state of beingness is pretty good. One of the things I had to do to create lasting change, one of the things I had to do to create lasting change in my life is I had to transform my lower nature self and my higher nature self, or into my higher nature self. And I will explain that lower nature and higher nature self later on in this video. You just got to bear with me, guys. I took my personality traits or qualities about myself that weren't very virtuous, and I transformed them into virtues. So I will share with you the 7 virtues and how to achieve these virtues. There are many virtues out there, guys, but I will talk about the basic 7 virtues and how to incorporate them in your life to create lasting transformation and transmutation into your life. Wow, guys. I'm going to take a quick pause here. And anyone follow me, I want to say thank you. This, to truly change and transform, is not for everybody. Many people watch 30 seconds of this and be like, I'm not feeling it, and they click off. But for those who stay for the long haul, I just sincerely wish you the best in your life and encourage you that you can do anything that you set your mind to. Now, as an author and a speaker, many people come to me and they tell me their life problems or their relationship failures and all, they just heap on my plate all their baggage. And there's nothing wrong with that. And the number one thing I tell them to do to change their life is to take action. Because that's the biggest thing. When I use the word take action, it means to do something about your life. It means to do something. It means to implement a plan or a goal. And the biggest pitfall that people make is that they don't do anything. They have all these problems and they just, bury them and just ignore them. And then they continue with their life. They don't take action or implementation to do something about that. And the biggest pitfall people make is that they don't do anything. Oh, sorry, guys. I type up like a little. I'll share with my inside. I type up like a. This is coming from my chapter, my book. So I typed it all up, and I'm doing a little bit of reading and. Then what comes to me naturally. So I might, jumble things. I'm not perfect at this podcast, YouTubing stuff. So the biggest problem is people keep repeating the same patterns and mistakes in their life. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, but yet you get the same result. And the reason for that is because you're chasing the outer world and you're not looking within yourself and changing the inner world, the inner state of your beingness, guys. So I tell you, if you truly want to change, it's time to shut off that TV. It is time to get off that couch and do something about your life. It is time to stop procrastinating. How many of you out there are guilty of procrastinating? Oh, I'll do that tomorrow. Oh, I'll do that next week. Well, that tomorrow and next week turns into a year from now. It may turn into 2 years from now. Or it may turn into you don't do nothing. I'm guilty of procrastinating, guys. I did it for years. For years, I um, didn't do the inner work, and it brought me more struggle, more strife, more hardship. Until I was like, you know what? I'm gonna implement a plan. I'm gonna implement a goal, and I'm gonna take action in my life. And one of the biggest pitfalls in this path of transformation, and you'll encounter this with loved ones, former lovers, or with your lover, or even friends and family. Many people play the blame game. They blame others for their shortcomings. Many people tell you that their parents did this or their friends did that, and that is why I'm struggling. They do not acknowledge their own actions that put them in that spot. Meaning it's time to take accountability. And I love that word, accountability. And in my younger years, I did not take accountability. I was like, oh, that person angered me, and that's why I reacted that way. It was that person's fault. But I didn't do self-reflection and be like, maybe I did something to trigger their anger that lashed out at me. So it just takes time, guys, and to work on yourself, you know. So take accountability. For you allowed certain things to happen to you in your life. And yes, guys, there are external factors, that you can't control. That's life. There's external factors that you can't control. But what you can control, guess what, guys, is you. You can control the way you think, feel, and perceive this world. And if you perceive this world one way, you can literally, it takes time, but you can change your perception, you change your perspective. And by just doing that little simple trick, can instantly change your life. Maybe you're one of those people who chose a toxic lover, even though you knew they were not truly good for you. Maybe you chose to take that job that wasn't good for your soul, and as working at that job, you were miserable. Often people, or some people, do actions or do things for money or wealth because they want that quick, and then it's very toxic, whatever that they choose. There's many things out there, but when people choose to do negative things for money, it strips away at your soul. It strips away at your personality, and you become less and less of yourself, or your divine self, I should say, because I've seen this where I knew some really good, loving human beings, and they chose I was just say a dark path, and then seeing them months later, years later, they're not the person I once knew. Their divinity, their spark of their essence has been stripped away slowly and slowly, and they have fallen into that lower nature self. And sadly, I've lost a lot of people in my life due to that, because I do not want to follow someone on that dark path, or those dark choices, or those dark impulses. I choose to live my life the best version of myself, and being around that negative darkness, I choose not to be around it. I choose the path of light. I choose the path of transformation. And those people, I still love them. I wish them the best, but I know through my own personal journey that it's not good for my soul's truth, or my soul's health, being around that toxicity. And I encourage you guys to self-reflect, because I see this all the time where I talk to many people come up to me and tell me about their life and how they want to change it, and then I'll see the people they're hanging out with, and intuitively I'm now, well, you become what you befriend. Ooh, let me repeat that. You become what you befriend. I see a lot of people who struggle with alcoholism, and they're like, I want to get better, I want to get sober, but then all their friends are, in a way, partiers and drug users, and so just being around that, they're going to encourage you to drink and to do drugs. How are you going to better your life if you're always placing yourself in that environment or around those people? So, lasting change begins with you. Oh, I'm going to take a sip here. I'm a little parched. In life, it's difficult, guys. We all have our ups and downs. We all have our lessons and our blessings. It is up to you to learn from your lessons and transform them into blessings. Some of those lessons that you had to go through, they probably were difficult and challenging. I've been there. I went through many ups and downs, and that's what helped mold me into who I am. You can look at myself, or you, as a giant piece of coal, and these lessons or these catalytic events are like pressure, and your goal is to not stay like that, to be that coal, but to transform yourself into that diamond, to take all your life lessons and experiences and transform yourself into something beautiful. Many people don't do it. They just because they like being in their lower nature self. I guess. When I was younger, in my younger years, I blamed my failures on others. I grew up without a father figure in my life, and I would blame some of my mistakes or actions that I did. Well, the reason I'm so angry is because I didn't have a father in my life. The reason I did this, I didn't have a father to teach me how to do it right. I blamed. I didn't take accountability. I had that poor pill for me mindset. I want you to guess where the blame game got me. It got me more lack and limitation in my life. So what did I choose to change my life? I chose to take accountability. I had to sit there with myself, and it took a while, guys, to surrender. I surrendered to God. I'm a Christian in heart, and I was like, God, show me my ways. And guess what? For those who God will keep bringing catalytic events into your life over and over, or lessons into your life over and over, until you truly transform and transmute it. And I used to go through situations, especially with relationships, guys. I'm a good, loving human being, but I would find myself in these relations, and then that just ultimately were very. I don't want to belittle anybody, or all the people that I dated. They're good human beings, and I send them my love, even though we didn't truly align. I had to come to terms with that, and why? Because my inner state of beingness didn't match their inner state of beingness, and when two energies that are now this, they just clash. Eventually, that's what happens. When I'm doing soul work on myself and trying to better my life, and then my partner's not trying to better their life, they're not trying to take accountability, they're not trying to take, and I'm not passing judgment. We're all flawed. And then I had to learn, all right, certain traits and these behaviors I've been dating in my partners, and they're ultimately not good for my soul's truth. And so then I started to reflect, why am I getting heartbroken all the time? And I realized I was picking the opposite of what I really am. And now, as me growing on this journey, I'm a godly person. So a lot of the women I dated weren't very godly. They may say they were Christians, but they weren't. They weren't living in Jesus' teachings day after day, moment after moment. They didn't really have God in their heart, and I have God in my heart. So now, on this path, I'm like, I'm only going to choose someone who has God in their heart, who choose not to be in their lower nature, but choose to be in their higher nature. And then we could be, if I find my partner, we could be in our higher nature and pursuing these 7 virtues together. Anyway, that was my tangent. So I took accountability. I realized I was the one causing myself the torment and frustrations and failures in my life. And I realized I had to do something about it. In my teenage years and my early 20s, I put on a facade. I pretended to be happy. But for the most part, on the inside, I was unhappy. I struggled with depression. I struggled with anxiety. I struggled with hopelessness. I struggled with heartbreak, guys. I'm human. That was some of the hardest. The heartbreak was the most, because being a loving person and just like being a hopeless romantic and trying to give all you have to create something magical and beautiful with another person and then ultimately fail is tough. And I played my part too, guys. When I was younger, I had uncontrolled anger issues, and I would, and I never did nothing like physical. I would be more verbal and nothing like bad, guys. I couldn't control my impulsive anger. If my partner did me wrong, I'd be like, oh, you did this, blah, blah, blah. And I would jump out like a list, like, hey, I'm not happy with this, blah, blah, blah. And that wasn't healthy communication. And I realize that now. But ultimately, when you walk this journey of transformation and spiritual growth, God removes those that are not meant for you. And that was the hard thing, where you love someone so much, you care for them so much, and you try to give them everything, and ultimately it fails. And I realize God removes those that are not truly aligned with you. And I'm just, instead of me chasing, now I attract. And when God's timing or divine timing comes, God will bring me the right person and spouse. The key is to work on myself first, because I can't have a better relationship until I better understand myself and well-beingness. Because I can't give someone, if I'm not complete, how can I help complete them? I don't know. I'm rambling. All right. So I know I'm not the only one out there who struggle with these emotions, the anxiety, the depression, the hopelessness, the broken hearts. We've all been there. You may be wondering how I changed my life. And for me, I chose to re-educate myself. So I chose to do research. I started reading books. I started listening to podcasts. I started to get informed. And then I chose all that knowledge, I chose to implement it into my life. And that's what encouraged me to write my books, guys. And so in my writings, I put my own life's journey in it, my own hardships, and some of my work, I tell it all. Because I've been there. I've been on that path of darkness. I've done things that I'm not proud of. We're flawed. We're sinful. But I don't beat myself up and judge myself, and I try to just heal. And I encourage you guys to heal, for those who need it. Not everybody. Some people are doing pretty good, Ultimately, I chose the path of transformation. I ask you, the reader, what do you choose for your life? Do you choose to get back on that hamster wheel and repeat the same cycles and patterns in your life? Or do you choose the path of transformation? So I'm going to tell you a short story of that hamster wheel. Where I work in a bar, restaurant, club scene on the Gulf of America. And for years, I see the same customers who struggle with relationships. And they'll, for 3, 4 months, 6 months to a year, they'll be dating this person. Then it ends horribly bad. They cry, why me? Why did I get this person? And then a couple months later, they come in dating someone very similar to the person they dated before. And they wonder why. Because they're not changing the inner self. They're just chasing the outer self. And I see it intuitively, like, this is not going to end well for this person. Or another person I know, this is a very lustful person and bounces around partner after partner. And then he disappeared out of my life for about a year or so. He was traveling and he came back and he just was broken down and like, I wonder why I can't find a meaningful relationship. And I wanted to share with him, but he's not awakened enough to understand this message. You attract what you are. So he was lustful and jumped to partner and pretended to love someone and then broke their heart and jumped to the next person, pretended to love them, jumped to the next person. And ultimately, it came back around. And that's why he's in that hardship and torment in his life, because there's a law of karma. What you do to others, they do to you. So by him playing people and using them for just satisfaction, he was used. He was manipulated. He manipulated, used others, put on a facade and I'm Prince Charming and I'm going to take care of you and love you and be your ultimate partner. But no, he wanted, that lust took a hold of him. His lower nature self, that lust, took root in him. And ultimately, it came back around and left him because he probably hurt a lot of people and broke a lot of hearts on his journey. And it came back to hurt his heart. And that's even me, like, sometimes when I'm like, maybe in this lifetime I wronged somebody. And one of my relationships, and I had to learn that lesson, is I loved this woman. I really fell in love, loved her, cared for her, but ultimately it broke my heart. And then I realized I did that to somebody in my early 20s where I loved her, cared for her, but ultimately I broke her heart. And I realized maybe by breaking her heart, that had to come back to me later on in life. So when I come from this, don't enter into a relationship. Don't call someone your boyfriend or girlfriend or propose to them if you don't cherish that fragile muscle, that heart. You got to cherish that. Don't break people's hearts, guys. And it's okay to enter into relationships. Just be upfront. Like, hey, this is what I want. I'm hoping you get this back. But don't pretend to be this Prince Charming or princess and come into their life and be romantic lovers if that's not your intention. Because ultimately, it'll come back to haunt you. So if you're just trying to look for hookups, just be up in front. Say, you know what I'm saying, guys. Be up in front, be honest. Communication is key and healthy in a relationship. But don't lie, don't manipulate. It's not healthy because in the end, it comes back to you. All right. Earlier, I talked about lower nature and higher nature, and you'll probably hear about some of this in my past videos. But it's important for transformation and to change your life is to understand this concept. Understanding self-transformation through the virtues and sins. What is the lower nature self? The lower nature self refers to the aspects of human consciousness that is driven by our base instincts, desires, and impulses. You can also look at your lower nature as your animalistic self. We have in gnosis, know thyself. We have three minds. We have the intellectual mind, we have the emotional mind, and then we have the animalistic. Well, actually, I think we have four, or maybe three. I may be confused. The animalistic or that sexual drive, the animalistic mind, that nature. Because at certain times, it'll be like your intellectual mind will take control of your life, or your emotional mind, or even your animalistic nature. And through self-mastery, guys, you got to learn to master your minds, and be in control of your life, your thoughts and emotions all the time. So these desires, these impulses, they're characterized by the pursuit of material gratification, materialism, immediate pleasure, that's the instant satisfaction. That's why we are controlled by that lust, guys, so badly. Lust for greed, lust for that flesh. And it ultimately leads to self-centered behavior. The me, the I. This part of the self often leaves individuals in the patterns of behavior that result into suffering. A lot of this lower nature self just brings suffering, guys. Stagnation, your life goes nowhere, and disconnection. Disconnection from true, lasting, loving relationships can cause many things. Ultimately, perpetuating cycles of negativity in your life. At its core, the lower nature self embodies the traits and hinders personal growth, spiritual well-being, and harmonizing relationships. So when you're in these aspects of yourself, it just limits you in pretty much everything. These traits include unchecked anger. How many of you guys have unchecked anger? I was one of those people. Or jealousy, pride, and more. While the lower nature self is not inherently evil, it represents where human potential is limited by lack of awareness and a lack of mastery over one's thoughts and emotions. And a lot in Christianity, they're like the sins, the seven lower, that's evil. Well, guys, what is evil? Evil is the lack of love. When someone wrongs you, they did it out of lack of love. They didn't love you truly. So that's evil. And your goal to embody these seven virtues is to be loving. And it's hard sometimes. What is a person's higher nature? Like my so in Gnosis, we teach ultimately in self-mastery is you look at your beingness as a vehicle. And I've mentioned this before, and it's okay, I'm going to repeat myself. You as a vehicle or a car. When who is driving your car? You. Is it your higher self or lower self? And ultimately, if you want to truly transform and transmute your life into a better place, you always want your higher self to be in control. And that comes with awareness, that comes with meditation, that comes with self-observation, and it comes with accountability. Just sit with yourself and say, you know what? I had a great human partner, I had a great lover, and I effed that up. And just accountability sometimes, guys. The higher nature self, by contrast, represents the enlightened and virtuous aspects of the human consciousness. It is in this part of the self that seeks wisdom. Do you seek wisdom? Do you seek compassion? Do you seek love and higher ideals? And do you implement compassion to others? Do you show love to others? The higher nature is rooted in a sense of purpose, into interconnectedness, that we're ultimately all one, and selflessness. It is the version of oneself that operates with greater awareness and strives for inner harmony and outward contribution to the world. And that's the mastery of it. It's like, if you want more contribution to yourself, you have to give more contribution to the world. That's why a lot of people are lack, because I see so many people are lack because they hoard their money and greed and, oh, it's mine. And they're stingy to other people. Yeshua, Jesus stated the best. Do unto others as you want them to do unto you. So if you're kind to others, people will be kind to you. If you respect others and respect others' boundaries, people are going to respect you and respect your boundaries. But if you're rude and filled with anger and you lash out or you betray, then you're going to be betrayed. If you're untrustworthy as a romantic partner, family member, or friend, guess what? Someone is going to come back and be untrustworthy in your life. And when you transform yourself and transmute yourself and you get out of your lower nature and your higher nature, your life starts to change and blossom, guys. But you have to do it day by day. And maybe you fall into your lower nature by, not by accident, but your self impulse control. You mess up, but the goal is, hey, I recognize, hey, I messed up today, but I'm not. But I'm going to go back to striving for better. All right, take a sip here. When individuals align themselves with their higher nature, they transcend base urges and tap into their full soul's potential. Do you want to achieve that? Doesn't that sound beautiful, to tap into your full potential? The higher nature self is exemplified by traits such as humility, kindness, courage, and integrity. I love that word, integrity. I'll ask you guys, do the people in your life, do they have integrity? Maybe some of them don't. Maybe some of them do. I try to surround myself with people with integrity and kindness and compassion. It is a state of beingness that seeks to uplift not only oneself, but also those around them, creating a life fulfillment and meaning. How many of you guys live a meaningful life right now? You gotta ask yourself that. Is my life meaningful? Am I following my purpose? Have you even discovered what your purpose is? All right, guys. The 7 deadly sins and the aspects of the lower nature. These are the unvirtuous traits that we all have in our beingness. The 7 deadly sins are traditionally seen as an embodiment of humanity's lower instincts and desires, your lower nature. These represent the pitfalls that can dominate the lower nature self and higher spiritual, emotional, and spiritual growth. Below, here's a description of each. So I'll list them off. So, pride, greed, lust being one of the biggest ones, envy, gluttony, wrath, and sloth. And we can look at these traits as a tree, and that the trunk of that tree, majority of it's lust. And then the roots from that trunk of that tree is pride, greed, envy, gluttony, wrath, and sloth. Because you see all the greatest people, even in biblical time, David, he gave into his lust, the adultery. And that lust also leads to greed, right? Lust for money equals greed. Or envy, that jealousy. Hey, that woman's so attractive. She may be married, but I'm lusting after her. And that turns into jealousy or envy. So pride means excessive self-importance and arrogance, leading to an affiliated sense of superiority. Prideful. I'm the best. We see this. I used to be this where I used to be a fighter, you guys, and I lived a different life before I practiced this truth. And my pride would be like, I don't care if anyone challenges me, I'm going to fight them. I'm a tough guy. That was me being prideful. I lost a great relationship because, this was in my early 20s, because I was being prideful that I didn't want, my girlfriend at the time wanted me to move in with her, and I financially was struggling, and I lost my apartment, and I had nowhere to go, and she goes, come move in with me. I'll take care of you until you get on your feet. And I was like, I'm the man, and I'm not letting someone take care of me. I'm supposed to be doing that. And I ended up moving away. And pride. I lost a great human being because of my pride. So, self-importance, arrogance. I know better than you. No, be humble, guys. Turn that pride into humility. Greed. An insatiable desire for material possessions or wealth, often at the expense of others. Lust. uncontrolled desires, particularly those of a sexual nature, leading to objectification and harm. Envy, resentment towards others due to their possessions, achievements, or qualities. Gluttony, overindulgence in food, drink, or other forms of consumption, leading to wastefulness. Gluttony, alcoholism. Drug addiction. Gluttony. Overindulging. Wrath. Intense anger or hatred, often resulting in destructive behaviors and harm. Wrath is also anger, guys. Earlier I mentioned that car, your higher self, Lord, who's driving it? You're layering it when you get angry and you're about to like do something out of anger. That's not your divine self speaking. That's not your loving self speaking. That is the anger, the wrath inside you, and you have to transmute that. When you begin to become angry and wrathful, wait, stop, pause, and replace. I'm getting angry. I'm getting wrathful, and I'm about to lash out at my partner, friend, or family member. Wait, I'm going to stop that and change it into being loving, and you can still communicate in a loving way and in a discerning way and get your point across without being angry. Sloth, laziness, or empathy, leading to lack of productivity and neglect of one's responsibilities. How many of you guys neglect your responsibilities? When I had to learn this path of transformation, I had to learn, hey, I got to take care of my responsibilities. I can't wait, postpone. No, even if it's difficult, you got to get it done. Take care of your responsibilities. These sins, or I call them the egos. In Gnosis, the 7 deadly sins are the ego, the many eyes, the many entities in your beingness that take control over you. And if you want to know more about Gnosis, I have a video on this channel about Gnosis. But you got to learn, start transmuting these lower aspects of yourself into higher aspects of yourself. These egos or sins are a manifestation of your lower nature self, arising from insecurity, fear, and arrogance. They often create a cycle of suffering by fostering disconnection from your higher ideals and values. So when you embody this lower nature, these egos or entities in your beingness that take control of you, I've seen it so many times where I work, where someone got this little metal round circle thing on their finger and they take it off. They're drinking, so they're in gluttony right now. They're overly indulging in alcohol, and then they get into that ego of lust, and then suddenly they're not married, and then you see them disappear out the door with somebody else, and they're cheating and being lustful. And unknowingly, they just hurt somebody that they may have cared for or loved. And you got to be mindful of this, guys. Many people don't know lust is. So many people are chasing their lust with partners, that instant gratification. But most of the time, that lasts very briefly. But when you find a loving partner, and you only lust for your one partner, and you have that true connection, then that lasts a lifetime. All right, now here are the 7 virtues. Finally, I ranted all this time. And if you made it this long, thank you. And I hope you hit a like, share, and subscribe. The 7 virtues, aspects of the higher nature self. Or these could be, aspects of your higher self. The 7 virtues are the antidote to the deadly sins, or to the ego. They represent the qualities that are aligned with the higher nature self, or your higher self, fostering growth, connection, and for fulfillment. Each virtue directly counters its corresponding sin. So humility, right? This is one of the greatest. Humility, to be humble, counteracts pride by cultivating modesty and self-awareness. Hey, I'm getting prideful. Wait, you know what? I'm going to switch pride to humility and just be humble. Generosity opposes greed by encouraging sharing and self-giving. Chastity, to have a chaste mind. Counters lust by promoting purity in thought and action. So, hey, I'm married and I see this temptation over here. I'm going to have a chaste mind. Okay, I see that lust is taking root in me. Wait, nope. I'm married. I'm going to switch it to a chaste mind. And that's also practicing chastity in your life. It doesn't mean you have to be a chaste monk that has to go their whole life without a partner. It's about being chaste until you find that right person, your divine partner, your twin flame, your soulmate, and you be in love with them. Kindness dispels envy through compassion and appreciation to others. Temperance balances gluttony by fostering self-control and moderation. Patience neutralizes wrath by encouraging calmness and understanding. Oh, we're getting angry. I'm going to my lower self. Wait, nope. Let's just be patient. Let me take a moment. Instead of lashing out, I'm going to be patient with myself. I'm going to be calm. I'm going to be collected. And diligence. Overcome sloth by promoting hard work and perseverance. So be diligent in your life. Take accountability and take care of your responsibilities. Stop being lazy, unproductive. It's okay to rest, but you can't. Rest turns into laziness when you do it 7 days a week and do nothing about your life. Be diligent, my friends. So what are the 7 virtues, guys? Humility, generosity, chastity, kindness, temperance, patience, and diligence. And you can try to incorporate that, and you can sit and self-reflect. How am I going to incorporate this in my life? Or you wake up drinking your daily coffee, like, today I'm going to practice patience. Or today I'm going to be kind. Today I'm going to hold the door for somebody when I'm going out to the gym or to the gas station. Today I'm going to be generous. Like, if I see a homeless person on the street, I'm going to give them $1 or $2. Humility. Today, even if whatever comes up, I'm just going to be humble about it. So how do you transform the 7 deadly sins, or these egos, or the many eyes? Or how do you transform your lower nature to your higher self? 1, you got to cultivate awareness. You don't know what you don't know. And through this video, I just taught you, these virtues. I taught you about your lower self. I taught you about your higher self and how to implement them. So gain awareness. Awareness is basically awakening one's consciousness. Consciousness equals awareness. A lot of us are operating on subconsciousness, or we're sleeping daydreamers. We got to become a conscious, meaning conscious or aware of how we speak to others, how we react to others, how do we react to ourselves, how do we speak to ourselves, how do we think, how do we feel. We become conscious of it every moment, every second. And if it's not aligning your thoughts, emotions, or whatever you're thinking, if it's not aligning with your soul's truth or your higher self, then you got to replace your lower self to your higher self. Switch that thinking. Hey, I'm being lustful right now. That's my lower self, lower nature self. I'm gonna switch it, and I'm gonna be chaste. You gotta work around that awareness, my friends. Practice self-reflection. Take a look in the mirror. We often don't want to because, let's face it, all of us have fallen short. We've done something bad or negative in our past, and we don't want to look at it because we don't want to acknowledge that part of ourselves. You have to look. You can't heal it. It's always going to be there. That baggage is always going to be there. That weight on your shoulder is always going to be there until you transmutate it and heal from it. So you have to reflect on it, acknowledge your mistakes, and learn the lesson from it, and then also not repeat it. Because let's say you heal, you acknowledge it, but then 6 months down the road you do the same thing, and boom, that baggage is back on your shoulders. Set intentional goals. Hey, today, like I said, today I'm going to practice patience. Today I'm going to practice kindness. Today I'm going to practice self-reflection. Today I'm going to take responsibility and accountability. And that accountability is also, you might have to reach out to people that you hurt and wronged. Even if they don't want to talk to you or something, you could be, hey, I take accountability. I'm sorry. And I truly am. And you have to truly mean it. You see this all the time where people reach out, I'm sorry, I won't do this again. I won't hurt you, blah, blah, blah. You just get back with someone and then they forgive you, and you go back into it, and then you do the same thing to them. Don't do that, guys. Also, you can seek guidance, seek help. You start going to therapy. I don't believe in psychology that much because I took psychology and there's some truth to it, but certain people lead people astray so badly. And I would, for me, it's about self-reflection, finding maybe a spiritual mentor, a life coach, somebody, or even also because I'm Christian, a pastor, somebody who, or a spiritual counselor or like a pastor, and seek guidance, seek help, ask a friend, hey, implement daily practices, meaning develop habits that align with your virtues, such as acts of kindness, meditation, or volunteering. Reinforce positive behaviors. So meaning when you reinforce positive behaviors, that also weakens the grip of your lower nature self. So when you start thinking more positively, when you start doing more positive things, it starts removing that negativity in your life. And then when you start repeating all this positive thinking and incorporating these virtues, little by little, that lower nature self dissipates. Embrace forgiveness. Forgive yourself for your past mistakes and transgressions. Recognize that transformation is a journey and setbacks are opportunities for growth. Setbacks are opportunities for growth. Jesus in the Bible states it. Forgive them. When he's on the cross and all these people just crucified him. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. Forgiveness, guys. I had to learn this where, one, it was hard for me to forgive all those people because I'm like, they wronged me, they hurt me, they broke my heart. I just want to be mad and furious at them. And I had to really sit with myself like, how do you love someone who hurt you? And so I just prayed and I said out loud, hey, I forgive this person for this, this, and this. And then I also acknowledge my own actions and I try to send them love. And then celebrate your progress. Acknowledge and honor your efforts to live in accordance to your higher nature. Celebrating milestones and fostering motivations and reinforcements of virtues and behaviors. Guys, just I wish you the best on this journey. If you ask me, what is my hardest thing, my lower nature self is what takes is, as a man, my animal nature is lustfulness. I'm tempted to look on my phone or whatnot, and but me being a conscious being, I'm like, nope, that is my lust speaking. And you can never actually kill the lust. so to speak. You have to just acknowledge it, because lust is also what's helped, or animalistic nature helped us through generation to populate the earth. And because you can't label this sinfulness as, oh, it's evil, it's bad. It's a part of you. You just gotta acknowledge it, accept that it's there, but you don't have to accept it, that aspect of you, or that trait or personality trait, to control your life anymore. You are a divine spark of the Creator God. And with Jesus in your heart, or whatever you believe in, I don't pass judgment on what you believe in. We all, there's many paths to spirituality, or to the divine, or to God. I just encourage you to find that path, what it means to you. For me, my anger, my wrath when I was younger, man, got me in a lot of trouble. And it also made me make mistakes. So transmute your lower nature self, that pride, the seven deadly sins, into the seven virtues. Practice humility. Practice kindness. And I wish you the best on your journey. And it's not a marathon. Well, it's not a race, guys. It's a marathon. It takes time. I've been practicing this for over 10 years now. And I still fall short. But when I fall, I choose to pick myself back up, and I keep trying to not only better myself, but to better people's selves, or better others, especially the people around me. I try to be a living example, and I encourage you guys, to become the best version of yourself. And I don't know what that means. Only you know what it means. And also, listen to your intuition, my friends. That inner knowing, it guides you all the time. A lot of you out there just ignore it. You intuitively know what you need to change and what you need to do. But it's time. But that takes taking accountability and taking responsibility. Anyway, guys, I wish you the best. God bless you on your journey.